You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer the questions on what you hear. There would be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played only once. The test is in 4 sections. At the end of each section, you will be given 30 seconds to check your answers. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to Section 1 of Practice Listening Test 5. Section 1. In a moment, you're going to hear a conversation between Jack and Billy. They just bump on each other while Jack is on his way to New Confectionery. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example which has been done for you. On this occasion, only the conversation relating to this will be played first.
Hey Billy, how are you? Will you care to come with me?
Hi Jack, well, where are you going?
I'm going to the New Confectionery. We have some guests at home and Mum has asked me to get some chocolate cookies.
Okay, I'll come.
Jack was going to New Confectionery, hence the answer is New Confectionery. Now we should begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time.
Hey Billy, how are you? Will you care to come with me?
Hi Jack, well, where are you going?
I'm going to the New Confectionery. We have some guests at home and Mum has asked me to get some chocolate cookies.
Okay, I'll come. But wait a minute, let me take Joe's book along. His house is on the way to New Confectionery. We'll give it to him on the way.
Okay, come on then. You know, I do not even know the exact location of the confectionery, so I was hoping to ask someone on the way.
No problem at all. I know where it is and I will guide you. Well, when we go from the Harley Street straight to the crossroads, we need to take a left turn. Hereafter, we need to go straight. There's Oceanic Gymnasium on the left side of the road. We pass that and reach the Regent Square. When we reach the Regent Square, we must take a half round towards Park Street. There lies New Confectionery, at the square corner to your right.
Okay, I see. I had quite a wrong idea about its location. I thought one needs to go straight ahead the crossroads towards Altos Shoe Mart.
No, that's the wrong way.
Before the conversation continues, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 6 to 10.
Where is Joe's house? You said it's on the way to New Confectionery.
Yeah, you see up to the Regent Square, it's the same way. When we reach the Regent Square, we take a left turn to drive along the Joseph Lane. After driving for less than 3 minutes, we reach Ville de Champ, a residential colony. Joe lives in this colony.
Okay, it's easy anyway. What's the apartment number?
It's 226.
Is it on the ground floor?
No, it's on the first floor.
What is he doing these days? It's been a long time since I last saw him, Billy.
He's studying business these days. He has taken a mission in the Edmonton School of Business Education.
That is good. Is he very intelligent?
Yes, he is. He performs exceedingly well in his academics and has also secured a scholarship owing to his outstanding performance.
Okay, which book do you have to return to him?
Actually, I borrowed Dan Brown's bestseller Da Vinci Code from him, and now that I have read it, I have to return it.
That's great. Do you like the book?
Yeah, it's so enticing. It casts a spell on you as you go through the pages one after the other. Have you read it?
No, Billy. I couldn't get time as I am busy with my project work. However, I want to read it soon.
This is the end of the section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. turn to Section 2. Section 2. Now you will hear a newsreader presenting a report on recent events. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 18. Now listen to the first part of the lecture and answer the questions 11 to 18.
Good morning. Welcome to the news at 7. The news that is making the headlines today is the accident that took place this morning near Matthew Avenue in Johannesburg. It was about 4 in the morning when a speeding double-decker bus rammed into a truck. Both the vehicles were coming from opposite directions and were travelling at high speed, a fact corroborated by witnesses. All of a sudden, the driver of a truck lost control of his vehicle and collided head-on into the bus. 6 people died in the accident, including the driver of the truck. All the other deceased were sitting in the front row seats of the bus. 25 others who were injured were admitted to the city hospital. 10 of them has sustained serious injuries. All others escaped unhurt. Sources said that some passers-by who heard a loud bang and saw the accident rushed to rescue the victims and hurriedly informed the police authorities. The police reached the spot in a few minutes and took the victims to the hospital. The truck was carrying large amounts of timber and was destined for St. Mount's Timber Factory in Cape Town, whereas the bus was a staff bus of TIS Management Services, whose employees were returning home from their late-night shift. The employees included middle and senior level managers. The accident took place at Avalon Road. People travelling in the area are requested to take another route as the road has not yet been cleared and is closed for traffic. The mangled remains of the vehicles are still lying on the road. The road itself and the dividers are also damaged, so the repairs will take some more time. The police claim they are still clueless about the cause of the accident and the investigations are going on. The bodies of the deceased have been sent for post-mortem and the injured sent to the nearest hospitals. The government has announced compensation for the injured as well as for the families of the deceased. The injured would be given 50,000 rands and the families of the deceased would be given a sum of 100,000 rands. The President has sent his personal condolences to the families of those affected by the accident. A helpline has also been set up for the benefit of the relatives of the injured or the deceased. For further information, Mr. Jordan can be contacted on the number 929-724-2983.
Before you listen, you have some time to look at questions 19 to 20. Now listen to the second part of the news and answer questions 19 to 20.
Among other things making the news, the controversy regarding nomination of the country's envoy to the United Nations came to the fore as all the political parties stood divided on the issue. The ruling party has withdrawn its support to Mr. Ralph, who was once among the top contenders for the post. It may be noted that Mr. Ralph is the senior most contender for the post, and he also has rich experience in representing the country at the international level. Now that the Republicans have withdrawn support to Mr. Ralph, his chances of being appointed to the post are slender. On the other hand, Mr. Ralph's main rival, Johnson Slater, has gained favour with the opposition. With the turn of events, Mr. Slater has become the favourite in the run-up to the nomination of the country's representative at the United Nations. Mr. Slater does not have the same experience as Mr. Ralph, but this seems to have been ignored in the run-up to the nomination of a representative. With the presidential elections just 3 months away, all the political parties in the country are taking the nomination of the representative as a step towards gaining more international acceptance and popularity. The race for the appointment to the coveted post seems to be heading to an exciting climax. And in another tragic event, a 7-year-old child lost his life riding pillion on a motorbike. His father, who was driving the vehicle, lost control of the bike while manoeuvring a sharp turn in the hilly terrain of Durban. Both the father and the son were natives of Durban. According to information received by us, both the injured were rushed to the Citizens Multi-Specialty Hospital with serious injuries. The boy, however, succumbed to his injuries on the way to the hospital, and hospital sources have told us that the boy's father is still critical and not out of danger. The boy's body has been kept in the state mortuary for post-mortem examination.
This is the end of the section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3. Section 3. In a moment you will hear a conversation between Mark and Scott, two students who have just come out of the examination hall, having finished their economics paper. Before you listen, look at the questions 21 to 25. Now listen to first part of the conversation and answer the questions 21 to 25.
Hi Mark, how have you fared in the examination?
Hi Scott. Oh, the exam was tough. However, I think all the hard work I had done for the exam was fruitful, as I was able to solve most of the questions. I think I'll be able to get a good score.
What do you think of the difficulty level of the questions?
I found most of the questions to be easy. However, some of them were difficult. I wasted a lot of my time trying to answer these perplexing questions. Anyway, since choice was available, I could get a better score if only I had used the time to answer some other questions.
I am sure. Which questions were you uncomfortable with?
Questions numbered 4 and 9. Had I not attempted these, I could have attempted 5 others within the same time.
Really? What about questions 1 and 2?
Well, I'd prepared the topics very well, since my brother had asked me to. I did not face much difficulty in answering these questions. In fact, these were the first questions I attempted, and I reproduced in detail all that I knew about them.
Wonderful. Incidentally, was question number 3 discussed by Mrs. Mary in the class?
I do not think it was. I think it was out of syllabus, and so I did not attempt it.
How do you rate your performance in the rest of the questions?
I think I gave reasonably good answers to all of them.
That's wonderful. How many marks do you expect to score in the paper?
That's the good part. I think I'll be able to score 80 to 85% or even more.
Wow, that's great.
Before the conversation continues, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 28. Now listen to the second part of the conversation and answer questions 26 to 28. Okay, now, what was your performance like? You've not said anything about that.
Well, I thought you would have guessed. It wasn't so good.
Why? What happened? You are intelligent, and economics is your favorite subject in which you always score the highest marks. This exam should have been a cakewalk for you.
Hey, economics is not my favourite subject. I'm able to score well because I find it easy to understand and answer the questions. In fact, I do not want to take up economics as a subject.
Forced? What made you opt for this subject in the first place?
You know our family's into its own business, and also that I am the only child of my parents. This means that I have to get into the family business after I complete my studies. I thought that economics would be a good starting point for a career in business and commerce.
Oh, if that is the case, then you should have taken a lot of interest in the study of economics.
Yes, I know. Don't you remember? I had met with an accident and had to be hospitalised for almost 40 days.
Yes, I think you told me about that accident of yours. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think the accident that took place a long time back, some 2 to 3 months back. Am I right?
Yes, it did happen a long time back. Let me be more exact and say that it was in the month of May. I told you earlier that I do not like economics, though I find it very easy. It just does not interest me. To add to my woes, I wasn't able to attend a lot of my classes due to the accident, and I still have not caught up with the rest of the students in the class.
If that is the case, then maybe I can be of some help to you.
Really? How are you going to help me?
You know, I am pretty good at the subject. Perhaps I can help you catch up with the syllabus that you have missed due to the accident.
Really? That would be a big help for me.
We can perhaps share some ideas during the lunch break.
Certainly. Thanks so much.
This is the end of the section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4. Section 4. Listen to a lecture in physiology class and answer questions 29 to 38. You have some time to look at the questions 29 to 38. Now listen to the lecture and answer the questions 29 to 38.
Hello students. Today I'm going to talk about muscle growth and the ways to achieve that. The cells, or the building blocks of muscles, are actually fibers. This watery fibrous substance in turn contains proteins. The proteins contained in the cells of our muscles cause them to contract. When we contract our muscles, all the muscle fibers are shortened in length and increased in width. In order for muscles to grow, 3 things are required. Number 1, stimulus. Exercise is needed to make the muscles work, use energy, and cause microscopic damage to the fibers. Number 2, nutrition. After intensive exercise, the muscles need to replenish their stores of fuel. And number 3, rest. It is during the rest or recovery phase that the muscles repair the microscopic damage and grow. Muscle cells grow in 2 ways. The first is hypertrophy. It means that the existing cells of our muscles swell due to the accumulation of water and proteins. Muscle size increases due to hypertrophic adaptation and an increase in the cross-section area of individual muscle fibers. To achieve continuous improvement, one will need to keep reaching for higher levels of training intensity. Otherwise, the improvement process will grind to a halt. Several biological factors, such as age and nutrition, can affect muscle hypertrophy. During puberty in males, hypertrophy occurs at an increased rate. Natural hypertrophy normally stops at full growth in the late teens. Muscular hypertrophy can be increased through anabolic steroids, strength training, and other short-duration, high-intensity anaerobic exercise. The second process is hyperplasia, in which satellite cells create muscle cells. These stem cells are wonderful creations, as these may be turned into almost anything we want. Stem cells have 2 important characteristics that distinguish them from other types of cells. First, they are unspecialized cells that renew themselves for long periods through cell division. The second is that under certain physiological or experimental conditions, they can be induced to become cells with special functions, such as the beating cells of the heart muscle or the insulin-producing cells of the pancreas. Hyperplasia may also be induced artificially by injecting hormones such as IGF-1 and human growth hormone. Perhaps the most interesting and potent effect IGF has on the human body is its ability to cause hyperplasia, which is an actual splitting of cells. With IGF use, one is able to cause this hyperplasia that actually increases the number of muscle cells present in the tissue. Weight training, with or without anabolic steroid use, enables these new cells to mature in size and strength. Imagine the muscle cells in the form of balloon-like things filled with protein. The protein helps in their growth and gives them strength. It is important to observe that each of such balloons can hold as much water and protein as its full capacity. After reaching that stage, the muscle cannot grow further. Its growth stops. At this point, it does not matter how hard you train or for how long you perform your workout. In fact, it does not even matter how much you eat. This means that hyperplasia also needs regular inputs so that newer muscle cells are formed. Another important thing that needs to be discussed is stretching. We all know that muscles do grow due to concentric and eccentric muscle contractions. Therefore, stretching muscle cells is another way in which growth can be achieved in muscle cells. It is always recommended to do stretching exercises before, after, and even in between an exercise session. It is necessary at this stage to know the adequate usage and benefits of proper supplementation. Firstly, if you aren't gaining at least a pound a week, you are not eating enough to replenish your energy reserves and provide a surplus of raw materials to build muscle. Secondly, if you are working out more than 4 days a week, it is more likely that you would end up with no muscles at all. It is because every time you lift, you dip into your body's energy reserves to fuel your muscles. Unfortunately, those are the same reserves used to build muscle after workout. The more often you lift, the fewer raw materials you leave to create new muscle. Only 20 to 30% of the actual muscle growth depends on hypertrophy. Thus, increasing the number of new muscle cells is the real key to get the maximum of muscle growth. And this means increasing hyperplasia. This is possible only with the use of proper supplements and hormones. Many of the top-class bodybuilders have become these great monsters by getting benefits from the hyperplasia. And this is what clearly draws a dividing line between professional bodybuilders and amateurs.
This is the end of section 4. Now you have 30 seconds to check your answers.